Happy New Year, buddy.
What's up, man? How you doing?
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
living the dream.
living the dream.
It's good. Glad to hear.
Getting some snow over in my parts. Are you getting snow over your parts?
Yeah, I think you guys must have gotten more because it's we didn't have a delay or anything. I mean, we probably got we got a couple inches, a few inches, nothing crazy.
This is day one back at school from the break for us, and we had a delayed start, and
Oh yeah,
it's so funny how 90-minute delay just rocks our world.
yeah, it jacks everything up, dude.
How it jacks the entire schedule up for the day.
It's true.
So fun.
So true.
So true.
I almost over the break lost my ability to have a season pass snowboarding with you. Apparently, so amazing conditions over the break. This snow hopefully is crushing the mountains. I got in trouble for the first. I'd never got in trouble on the mountain before, and this time was unique in that. So to be fair, we go through the trees all the time. Like you and
Yeah,
we go, and so trees. I still am not convinced that trees are quote unquote a natural barrier. That to me,
a natural
unless
boundary.
or a natural boundary. I'm sorry, unless like it's like the tree line is on the edge of a cliff, which is probably you should probably pay attention to that. But normally, even when they don't want you in trees, they put a rope up,
Yeah,
and so this time there was a rope up. Uh, on the top side of the mountain and then the bottom. But where I decided to go through the trees, there was no rope, like legit no rope. I didn't go because dude, I've never gone under a rope because that's like your pass is revoked if you go under a rope. Like that's all there is to it. So I went across and I'm like, Erica, yeah, there's no rope. And so she came back, she came over and we were in this run, dude. It was like knee to waist deep powder. Nobody
nice.
on the run. I'm like, we're gonna get in trouble. Like this
Too
is
good to
too
be true.
perfect. Nobody would not be on this run if this was open. But they had left like a probably like a 50-yard gap that wasn't roped up. So when I got to the far side, I looked up the mountain. I'm like, oh, there's a rope there, and there's a rope there, but you couldn't see it from the trees. You could see the rope if you're going through the trees if there's a rope up, but there was no rope up. And so, anyways, yeah, I got caught.
Good
And
job,
it
dude.
was, you know what run it was? It's when you're in the back country. So when you go down Mozart on the backside
Yeah.
of Keystone,
Yep. Yep.
you go up Santiago and then you bust that hard U-turn and it's that real steep black. Like it's
Yeah.
one of my favorite runs. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that run. But and I've never seen it close. So it was closed at the top and it was just instead of being that groom like super fast steep run, it was just a powder, like it was just like 3 feet of powder. And so that's the run that
Nice.
I got on. So point of you telling you that is so at the bottom of it, you go right into the lifts. There's not like everybody in the mountains sees you coming
Coming
down
out.
that. And so there was nowhere to hide, dude. So
There was
I went right up to the lady. I'm like, I'm self-reporting.
the snow popo was there
Snow
to
Popo. They was waiting. They was
waiting.
waiting. They got me. They got me.
Dude, I took my kiddos up. I did I followed your lead on like just booking a one night stay up in Keystone, like at a condo or whatever, and stayed on New Year's Day into the next day and went snowboarding 2 days in a row with my kiddos. And man, it was awesome. Like both of them just in the one day just grew so much and just got way more comfortable. We just did like the bunny hill, rode the magic carpet, and then at Mountain House there's that chairlift. And then by the end of like the first day, they were wanting to go up on the chairlift, and then Wells was like just booming down all by himself, and then he wanted to like go on the chairlift by himself, and like he's like barely tall enough to like get on himself, and I was like, oh, I don't know, buddy. And he wanted to go by himself, and so he went, and dude, he was just like getting it, man. So like we're gonna be ready for the big runs pretty soon. It was
Nice.
exciting and fun to see.
Nice.
So
Nice.
yeah, man, I'm excited.
Good,
But
man. Well, some exciting news about TKM. We had our first call. Today is the 7th of January,
Tuesday,
2025.
yep,
And we had our first call under the new I say new structure. It's not really a structure. So, one of the things we want to talk about, I guess, in this podcast is um, how opportunities. It's interesting how opportunities come and go, how doors open, how doors close, and just the different ways that you can respond to it. And so we've probably been talking. I mean, we've been talking for a long time about different iterations of TKM and what it looks like. And it's a mastermind or it's this group. We brought in coaches. There's all these different formats and different structures and different ways to approach what our goal is. And ultimately, I'd say we were trying to start. What we were trying to do is start a business, or we are trying to. No, let me rephrase that. We are trying to start a community of men, kinetic men who are wanted to come together, have real talk about real stuff, and go deep and have that fellowship, a place to go to, a safe place to have these conversations, and then to do something about it, right? Like, okay, well, what's the next actionable step? Like, what are we going to do about that? And the and it's fascinating because even in a lot of the conversations that we have, and a lot of conversations I have in different contexts, it's really easy, and even in the military, it's really easy to talk about things, to talk about issues, and that's great. That's beautiful, and we encourage everybody to have a place to go to be able to talk, to have conversations, all that good stuff. But it's less common to no kidding be challenged and to challenge others to be like, okay, so what are you gonna do about that? Like what is that's great. I'm glad we admired this problem. Like what are we gonna actually do to address it? And there's some really powerful things that happen when you get a group of people together in general, but specifically in our case, men together in a community who are willing to do something about it.
Yeah.
And so, I would say our heart's desire was to bring men together to be better husbands, fathers, and friends, and just to be kinetic in life in general, in our workplace and in our homes, and to create a community around that. But we also were like, we love this so much. Let's if we could turn it into a business, and this business can support our families, then like why would we do anything else? And it just didn't really work out that way, right? We gave it a number of years to really. We've changed the payment plan so many different ways, the pricing, this, that, the other. And where we finally landed in this last year is some serious conversations, brought in somebody to help coach us through conversations around what we want to be, creative position, all the things, right? And what we finally realized was, man, we just love these dudes. And there's about, I don't know how many guys are signed up now, 30, 40 dudes. We love these guys and we love the conversation. We love the community. Let's do this in person in Colorado. Like there's a real glue and a stickiness to bringing it in person and make it live, face to face, that really changes everything. So we were like, we've looked at this business model, 10 ways to Sunday, all these different things we've tried. We've brought paid coaches, we've done all kinds of things. And it just we have not seen God's blessing in the financial aspect of the Kinetic Man. So we should probably let's stop that and then pour into men locally and go do something else, like figure out what we want to do vocationally. And I found C12, and so I really poured into that. Which, funny enough, it's an in-person gathering of the type of people that we love to be around,
Yeah.
business, marketplace, and you bring Jesus into that conversation. So I've been loving that. But so we took it to the group. We're like, hey, this is where we're at. And so this was November. We're gonna, after months of us deliberating, we're like, November, hey, these will be the last month of calls. We'll go through December, and then we encourage you guys to go do this in person. And man, what happened was pretty interesting to me when we kind of announced that.
Yeah. I mean, to take a step back a little bit, I think, um, through lots of conversations like you had mentioned, and lots of kind of diving deep into what we want to do and who we want to be surrounded with, and um, looking at like different business models and getting some coaching. And I think we realized that um, there's not necessarily, I don't want to say a competition, but there's the space for online masterminds, online communities, online um, business structures, lots of Zoom calls, lots of meetings online. We kind of started to see that we were, I guess there was the market was saturated, if you will, right? There's a lot of people doing similar type things, right? Masterminds, communities, online calls, and all on Zoom. And I think,
But to be clear, I think structurally, from the outward appearance, a lot of people are doing similar things. Yes, I agree with
for
that.
sure, yeah, for
What
sure,
happens internal to the call, I think, is unique.
very
But
true,
yes, semantics. I think it's important that when people hear about a mastermind, another Zoom call, this market is saturated. There's so many opportunities. And then when you like further refine, hey, I want to do a Zoom call about dads. Like I'm not hating on dads group. I love dads group. I love everybody who's doing them. We have a
yeah,
lot of friends doing, and but to your point, like the dads, the husbands, the father thing, Zoom group, mastermind, it is a very saturated market.
yeah, yeah. And so I think one of the things that we were starting to kind of come to a realization is that we personally, you and I, have this unique friendship that I think a lot of people in current society doesn't have, where we live in the same location. We hang out all the time. We go do fun things together. It's in person, and we invite other men to come and do these things with us. Go snowboard like we were talking about, go mountain biking, get out and do fun things, have coffees, have lunches, and we've been really intentional about building an in-person community locally here in Colorado, and within the online community of the Kinetic Man. There's a decent amount of people that are in Colorado that we then go do in-person things with. And I personally have gotten a lot of joy and fulfillment out of that. And so where we were in all these conversations and decisions was like, all right, the business side of an online men, dads, husbands mastermind group is saturated. It's not working, but we desire community. We desire in person, hanging out with men, which we totally need right now. And like let's go do that, right? And so we were in this mindset of like, hey, let's switch. Let's go, go hard in the paint for in person, community, hanging out with other dudes. So
That's
where did we go from
true.
there?
All very true. And I'll tell you, the part that kind of blew me away when we shared this with the group was a lot of the dudes in the group were like, "Oh, that's awesome, love it," because we were like, "Hey, so you know, we're
Shutting it
leaning
down.
towards the calls are canceled and like let's pour into in-person community." And dude, it was interestingly resounding. The guys were like, "Why? Like, why can't it be an and?" And I was like, "Huh." And there's like, dude, this community, this online community has a place and there's a beauty to it. And really, like today, we just had this call, and dude, like, I mean, men are sharing very real things, like very, very intense, profound, life-changing things. And so again, this was a decision that we made to effectively take away all barrier. We are passionate about dudes connecting. We're passionate about
Yeah.
dudes stopping leaving their families. We're passionate about dudes stopping taking their lives. We're passionate about dudes um, having friends and actually being different and stepping up as men, right? And what does that mean? There's so many ideas. There's so many definitions, not definitions, but there's so many examples and places that we can go nowadays. Whether in super like from all the way from like these super hyper aggressive, hyper toxic, like quote unquote men to these passive pasties of dudes, right? Like just and really, what does God say a man is? What do we believe a man? I heard this the other day, and it was fascinating. It was from this giant jack, like super quote unquote manly dude, and he said, he started quoting scripture and he said, you know what Jesus said a man is? What was Jesus' example? And he said, men serve. It's like that is the foundation. That is a foundation for manhood, to be a servant. What does that look like? Like, what does it look like when Jesus washed the disciples' feet? What does it look like to give your life? We'll be known by for our love for our brothers and sisters, and giving our lives for each other. What does that look like? Right. And it's all servant language. It's all servant leadership type stuff. And I really reflected on that because as we looked at it, we're like, I think you and I, to sum it up, how do we best serve these men? And I think for you and I, some of the best service we can do for these guys, one is loving and pouring into them, sure, but that's a selfish endeavor because they do the same for us. They love
Yeah.
and they pour into us. But we can just put invites out, and we can create opportunities for men to come together and be able to have these conversations. And that's what service looks like from our perspective, right? And it's where guys can come together and challenge them and be like, hey, what is the thing, what is the depth that you are going through right now that you need help with, that you want somebody to walk with? And so it was a really cool thing to see, even guys that, I'll just be honest, like guys that I'm like, these guys aren't really invested in, like they were paying for membership, and I was like, yeah, they're not really invested. Like those guys were like, oh no, I have to have this. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. Well, and now all the barriers are taken away, right? It's free. It is a free, now it's invite only. And that can be achieved by, if you happen to be a listener and you want to be on a call, just reach out to Stu or I, right? And we'll just chat about it, and it's invite only. But but it's open. There are no barriers, and the only desire is that dudes come together and do life together, and that it change you, and that we all be changed by it, that we all be better by it, right? And there's no limit to who that is. You don't have to be a Christian, you don't have to be a dad, you don't have to be a husband. We have all those. We have those and not those in the group. But you just have to be a dude that wants to see something different. And I'll tell you, if more men would step up and embrace their role as embrace their strength as servants, how do you serve your household? How do you serve your children well? You can lead your household, and you can lead your children through service, through serving them, right? Like it's not dichotomous. You can do them, together. I can seek to want to serve my children and love them and honor them by also providing a role model, an example of what it looks like to lead through service, because that's what Jesus did, and he did it perfectly. And we are not going to do that perfectly, but we can approach more. We can get closer to perfection than we currently are, right? And what kind of world, what kind of household would we have? What kind of community would we have? What would our churches look like? What would our local communities and politics look like if we engaged and truly were like, hey, I want this to be better, not through some fake hyper masculine, like repressive thing where I do karate and jujitsu, and unless I do that, I'm not a man. No, like how do you step up? How about this? Be present with your family. Like show up. Or how about that? Even like, let's make it a little more simple. Commit to not leaving.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not disparaging anybody who has or does or is on that path. I'm just saying, think about it. Think more deeply about it. Think more about the ways you can be different to make that family dynamic better.
Yeah. We had Chris Harper on our podcast. He runs a community called Better Man. They do discipleship and a curriculum for men to go through their churches. And I've been listening to their podcast, and they had one just recently, and they're talking about steady state Christianity, and looking at just consistency, right? Looking at consistency over intensity. And I just love that thought going into 2025 of consistency, and using the Kinetic Man as an influencer, as a catalyst to just put rhythms in place to open up, to to be vulnerable, to be honest, to surround yourself with other men that can push you forward and lift you up. I mean, just today, dude, just on the call today, we had three or four men open up with shares with some, a wide range of challenges and issues, but like, man, we just poured in, right? And I was a receiver of some of that, right? And it it pushes me to be better in a certain area, to be courageous in an area where I have some fear, and to step out in honesty and vulnerability. And just like you said, like how cool is that to be in a community that is open and willing to grow and to change and to be honest and to be vulnerable in a world that um, a lot of that is missing right now. And I'm excited about that in and of itself, for the men in this tribe in this community to just grow in that, right? Um, and as we become more comfortable in that, and because we've been in it now for what 3-4 years, and we've seen the growth of men in this group, and like that's transformational when you are able to be in a room with an online room or in an in-person room, and open up and be vulnerable, and that's where real change happens.
Well, dude, and also, how many guys on the call today? One of the guys spoke up and said, "Hey, I'm going through some transitions, and I'm just like I've got fear around it. I have indecision, and I have questions, and I just don't know. I think what were the words? It was like I just don't know how I'm gonna make it, or how I'm gonna do this. And it was the context was a vocational aspect to it, like a professional aspect to it, but more importantly, how does this impact my household and my kids and my wife, right? Like, I desire to do this thing to support and to serve my family well, and I have doubt around it. That was it. I have doubt around it,
Yeah,
and with the doubt, there's some fear and all these different aspects. And everybody in the room has felt that. I mean, I would say that feeling that is also part of being a man. Like, there's so many lies about manhood, right? Oh, you're just confident and you walk in and yeah, I'm gonna take this down and this and conquer and crush. We had a was it John Tyson was talking about, like, he's like, you Americans are always talking about like crushing and killing
crushing
it
it.
and destroying. And he's like, your guys' language, he's Australian, for
Yeah,
context, but he was like, just the American language is so, and Western, but especially American, is so dominating. He's like, it's fascinating just how dominating the way you guys talk. And he's just like, I don't, the rest of the world doesn't like get it. Like, they don't, it's not like a virtue, right?
yeah,
But we are definitely, we that's part of our culture, and I would say that's a part of our culture that's just a lot. Like, I think there's certain aspects of our culture. I love America, I love this country. A couple parts that I think the devil has just absolutely worked his way into our culture. One, he just distracts us and makes us busy, right? We're just distracted and busy. That's a huge one. But two, it's this idea of what strength looks like, right? And being like domineering and crushing. And then the other one I think is not, I think, I know for a fact that the data supports it. Probably one of the most nefarious ways that the devil has just gotten his claws in our community is this idea of individuality and our independence of one another. Like, it's so anti-biblical, anti-cultural, anti the way we were created to be. Like, there's no support anywhere that highlights this idea that we are intended to be these lone rangers. Like, that is such an ugly lie. And the way it manifests today is that dudes don't have friends. And then when you take it to an extreme, but it's not an extreme, it's really becoming more mainstream, is dudes get into such a place of despair that they take their life, right? They take their life, and it's happening younger and younger, and the anxiety and all these negative things, a lot of that, crazy as it sounds, a lot of that is resolved in community with a friend. Like a lot of that stuff is literally resolved by having a homie, just one homie, right? And it's these aspects that are just so just they're lies and they're ugly, and it keeps us from truly being the men that we want to be. And I think all that stuff really touched your and my heart, and made it like, okay, zero barriers to TKM. Take all the barriers away. There's no pay. There's no, yeah, you got to give some time, but whatever. Don't freaking scroll YouTube shorts for an hour. Like replace that hour with this. And if you don't think you're doing that, I want to encourage you on another front. Do a time inventory and like just see where your time goes.
Yeah,
Just see
dude.
where it goes, and you'll see that you have an hour a week to get on a call or to go to the mountains or to do something with some dudes, and it could literally save your life. And even if it's not about saving your life, what I can promise, guarantee, full money back guarantee for our free our free community, uh it will enrich your life. You may not be on the path of taking your life, and it doesn't have to be that extreme, but what I can guarantee is that it will absolutely enrich your life. Dudes were enriched today.
For
Connections
sure.
were made. Guys are going to call each other from the call today. Guys that never spoke or never met are going to call each other, and the relationship will start, and conversation will be had. Vulnerability will be felt. Truth will be spoken. And ideally, love will be exchanged.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then from
and
all that is growth.
and when men get vulnerable, when men get honest, and when they share, it's amazing what happens. Someone else will speak up and be like, "Hey, man, I've been there. Yep, this happened to me." Or, "Yeah, hey, our family went through this. I have a contact. You need to reach out to this individual. Let me connect you."
And it doesn't matter
Right?
how extreme it is, dude. Right?
Nah.
Like it was fascinating. I learned something about you today. Well, about your family, I guess, technically Crystal's family. But one of our members, I say members, one of our homies, he shared something that a lot of people in his mind may be extreme, right? Like, wow, it's gonna be hard for someone to relate with this.
Yeah.
But dude, it really isn't, because I think two or three different dudes in that call. That call only had what there were probably
Yeah. 20 guys.
22 dudes on there today.
Yeah.
Whatever there were, it wasn't much more than, it was in the 20s, low 20s. And in that group, one guy shared a thing he's going through that a lot of people probably think was relatively extreme. And like three dudes in the call were like, oh, my family, like first person, not like I know a guy who, it was like first person, like, oh, my family is going through that with this. This is what we could do. I can make a connection. This is what
Yeah.
they did. And like three dudes spoke up on that one topic. And
Yeah.
then one other guy was like, I'm transitioning jobs. We're like, okay, who else is like every single dude in the call is in some kind of transition or is in some phase of a transition, whether it's the beginning or the end of it or right in the midst of it, right? I mean, it's just these things that we think are unique to us. Dude, you're not a butterfly. Like you're not a snowflake. Anybody listening, like you're not special in all your giftings. I mean, you're special, and I love you and I honor you in that, but you're surely not special in your struggles and in your challenges. Like you're not. It's just there's so many people going through. Dude, the number of dudes I met recently after we had Born a Loser. Is it Corey Lozier?
Yeah. Corey Lozer. Yeah.
The number of dudes I've met, like since we had that podcast, the number of men that I've met that personally that I am personally involved with now, that have kids, adult kids that are drug addicts, and who are just are in different phases of what Corey experienced in that conversation we had. Like, dude, I've met so many guys that have, like, these are not a guy that knows a guy. Like, I've met this guy and we're sharing life in community, and like, hey, I have this son, and like the holidays in particular were tough because we couldn't find our son, or we found our son, or he's sober for 4 days now, or whatever. Dude, I'm telling you, like the things that we're going through are not extreme. There was just a guy in Jefferson County School District, my kid's school district, went out to Maryland and ended up committing suicide because he was wrapped up in some child porn stuff and just all kinds of stuff. Right? At what point in that guy's life could a friend have spoken into any of those, even to the point of being, going down the child porn route? Is it
Yeah.
gross? Yes. Is it insurmountable? No. Is there healing in that? Can you be healed from that? Yes. Can somebody relate? Absolutely. Right. And so my point to all that is just, we don't have to do this alone. We don't have to suffer in silence. We don't have to think we're unique in the things that we're challenged with. And if you can get on a call with a group of dudes that are, 22 dudes on this particular call, and every single topic that was brought up today that is a challenge, multiple dudes, nobody was like, oh, never heard that one before.
Yeah.
Like, that's a new one, right? Like that has never happened in our calls. Never. So that should tell you we were created to do this together. We're meant to do life together. And like, nothing you're going through is really like, someone else is going to look at your huge problem and be like, oh, dude, that was like a Monday, bro. Like that. So let me tell you how I got through that. Right.
Yeah. And so, to not beat around the bush anymore, like the structure, so to speak, the big change in the Kinetic Man is we're opening up these calls for free. We want a community of men that can pour into each other and grow with each other and be vulnerable and honest and have hard conversations and ask hard questions. But with that, have an expectation that you're going to take action on it and go do something about it. And we're going to hold each other accountable to doing and taking action. It's a we're making an invite, an invite only type of thing. So if you're listening to this podcast, like David said, like if you've been wanting to join a community like this, if this sounds like something you need, like reach out to us. Let's jump on a call. We've updated our website. There's no more just like there's no sign up button. A paid for subscription membership. It's not a business anymore. It's a community. And so like fill out, a contact form and like let's jump on a call. If you know somebody who's in the Kinetic Man, reach out to them. Say, hey, I want to be a part of this. And they'll, connect us to you. And there's another aspect of it that we're really excited about. The giving side of Kinetic Man. We've always had it, but our goal and hope is that it grows because of this. Like I said, it's a free community, but there is an expectation that if you're going to show up, that you also show up in a giving way as well, in a generous way. And so we have a donor advised fund that we've set up through the National Christian Foundation, and we're gonna pour into that, and we're gonna give, and we're gonna create a community of givers to where we can then go impact some amazing organizations that we all get to vote on and come together on and make a big impact in some of the organizations that we truly love and believe in.
Yeah, man. And it's fun too, right? If you run our organization, you can nominate. We do this nomination process of how we give the money. It's like it's an open vote. I mean, it's
Yeah.
fun, right? Like there's guys in the group that um have started nonprofits, and we've got them signed up through NCF as an approved recipient of funds. And then we've like sent money to dudes doing, like, no kidding, doing the work. Like it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome. So there's yeah, man. I'm excited about 2025. I'm committed to pouring into this group of dudes in a different way. Cause again, there was, as we went through it, someone said this amazing word to me. He's like, hey, he just challenged me. He said, is the business side of this a detractor or a distraction, is what he said. I'm sorry. He said, is it a distraction from what is in your heart? And I was like, oh, amen. Yeah, it is. Because I think of it, because I'm thinking about the business side of it, and like Like, does it make sense as a business? It doesn't make sense as a business, right? But what it makes sense is, let's get as many dudes together as possible and just pour into each other, like pour into each other. And if one marriage is enhanced or saved, if one relationship with a kid is uh, is 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 redeemed, if one person comes to Christ, like, and by the way, all these things have happened, right?
Yeah, right.
Then what? I mean, dude, 100%, it's worth every ounce of effort and every second that we put into it. And by no small measure, we are recipients of this love from these dudes as well, and
Yeah,
are
dude.
equally blessed and served by the men in the group. I mean, men spoke into you, like you said, men spoke into you today and challenged you, like, dude, know your value, know your worth, and like, giddy up, man. Like, you are worthy. And it's, to hear that from a group of dudes that we respect and love, to hear them pour into you that way, like, dude, that there's very few things that are as powerful in this world. To look at a screen full of dudes that you know are like ninjas and amazing guys, and they're validating and lifting you up in truth. Not like, oh, let's just stroke Stu's ego. No, like challenging you too. Like, hey, you are awesome in all these ways. Like, then do something about it. What are you gonna do about it? What are you gonna do about
Yeah.
your awesomeness? Oh, that's a good challenge. I'm gonna, okay, I got it. I got it for action. I'll take that for act. And so at the
Borak.
end of the day, man, like, 2025 is another opportunity. I love Januaries. I do. I love Januaries. And a lot of people, I don't care. Yeah, I get it. You could start goals and habits at any time of the year. I get it. There's something special about January. The year the calendar switches. What happened in 24, it doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't. What happened in 24 don't matter no more. You know what I mean? And then now it's 25. Time to get alive. That's so stupid. I don't even know that, but whatever. But it's 25, and it's
That
an
was so dumb that it was
opportunity
good.
to do something different, and to like pour in, and just in one of those tiny things, it's so small to be like, you know what the different thing is? I want to be with a group of dudes. I'm going to join a Zoom call. Like, how hard is that? Give me a break. It's easy. And it could change everything, right? I'm going to commit to in-person gatherings in Colorado. That's the other aspect of this that Sue has touched on. We don't know what it looks like quite yet. We're not sure on what the structure. I don't even know if the structure matters. What we're committed to is dudes in Colorado. Let's get together face to face and do life together. That's what matters. That's what it's going to look like. And whether it's a meetup or whatever, wherever we put it out, that's going to be something we're committed to doing as well. And even once a month, like getting dudes together, going to the mountains, going hiking, whatever it looks like, that's what we're going to do. And
Yeah,
so be part of it.
and we've challenged the other guys to do it in the other cities. And I mean, just this morning, I'll call him out. Marcus Long, he sent us a text thread in our WhatsApp chat group of like him and like what 15 other like, grown men at like 5 a.m. this morning going sledding in their
It's awesome,
neighborhood.
dude.
Just a community of men that they created in their neighborhood to go
What do you say?
sledding.
35 to 55 was
Yeah,
like the age,
35 to 55 was the age
and they're
group
going
of
sledding, man.
yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah,
Like
it's super awesome.
we need more of that.
Heck yeah. And I guarantee you there's a lot of laughter, and there was some camaraderie that happened. And it also opens doors to like, hey, you want to have coffee? Let's have a discussion. I'm having issues in my marriage. Cool, man. Join the club.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, dude.
At the end of
Love
the
it.
day, I mean, our our third cohort in this, Stephen Heptig, he asked us a profound question, and it kind of comes full circle into all of this of really just like asking us like what do we want this to be? Like what is TKM? What is the Kinetic Man? And what was your answer, David? Like what do we want TKM to be?
Yeah, we just want to touch men.
No, no, that's not it.
No, man. And at the end of the day, the first thing that came, to my mind when you guys asked me that, I was like, I just want to have a community of men. Like, that's it. That we pour into and that we grow together. Like, that's it.
Glorifies God.
Right. Community of men pour into each other, grow, and for us, that we're glorifying God through those efforts. And ultimately, I'd love for the group, that all the activities that we do within the Kinetic Man, that they're God glorifying activities, whether you're a believer or not, intentionally or not, that they're glorifying to God. Um, and dude, so we acted on that, right? We took action on it. Like, hey, no more business. We're not. This is not an effort anymore. It's not a distraction. Like, just get men together to
Love
be
it, dude.
better. Period.
So here's the action. If you're a listener of this, if you want to be a part of the Kinetic Man, it's been on your heart for a while, and I mean, here's the opportunity. It's right in front of you. You can reach out to us if we're active on LinkedIn. You can send us an email, send us a message on there, or on our website now. There's actually just a contact us form. You can go fill out that contact us form, and sends us an email, and we can schedule a call. If you know somebody who's in Connect Man already, reach out to them and ask them for an invite. And yeah, let's get it. Make 2025 great.
It's 25. Be alive.
Poet.
Yeah, it's
Didn't
gonna
even know
stick
it.
somewhere. It's gonna stick somewhere.
Yeah, yeah.
25, the year of
High
high five. You
five.
can't say high five because five doesn't rhyme with
Five and
five. It's like
five.
literally repeating the same. This is dumb, dude. We'll work on it.
It's the
We'll
year
work on it. Hey,
25. Let's go
uh,
get jive.
Jive. Yeah, yeah.
Like that.
Let's go get Jive. Yeah, I like it. All right, giddy up. Be kinetic. Be
Up,
different. Be
dub, double
better.
chuck,
Up, dub,
barbecue
double
grill.
chuck. Barbecue grill.
I'm making a t-shirt. That's gonna become a t-shirt of ours.
Sounds awesome.
Okay.
I'll buy it, or you could just gift it to me.
No, you have to buy it.
No, no, you just gift it. Love you.
Bye now.